ready to go?
Is it this way though?
Okay. So he met us at Aric. He came by and he goes, "Are you Claudio?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Are you from the Mentors?" And I said, "Yes." And guess what he said next? "I want to be on your show." And he goes, "I love your show. It's killer." So, so let's get him on. Are you ready, Jet?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. New Zealand, we're going international. The Mentors is hitting it international. Yeah, it's calling.
Hello? You know you're calling.
Yeah. Is that ringing? Here we go. It's Ray.
Crossing the Tasman from Bondi.
Our cousins.
Good afternoon, Ray speaking.
Cousin Ray. It's Claudio calling here for the Mentors, buddy. How are you?
G'day. Good to hear your voice.
You sound like an Aussie. G'day.
G'day, mate. Good.
Hey, Ray. Firstly, mate, thanks for joining us here on the Mentors. You're on here with us with Matt LaHood. Matt, say hi.
G'day, Ray. How are you?
G'day, Matt. Good.
And Ray, tell me, have you heard of a gentleman by the name of Jet Xavier?
I've even got a photo of us together at Aric.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're a rock star.
He gets a bonus session, Ray, mate, because I'm here.
Mate, we've got a guest mentor on today's show. We've got Jet Xavier who's joined us, and in one of the episodes that you guys are going to be listening on, he's going to talk a little bit about wellness and everything else. But hey, Ray, tell us how long you've been in real estate. What part of New Zealand do you sell in, and who's the company you work for?
Yeah, so a bit of a long story on that. Back in 2002, I joined the Harcourts brand, which is well known throughout. Did that back in 2002, and I had a short stint in real estate. And back then, I was probably around my early 20s. And at that time, I applied for the New Zealand Police. And of course, they called me up, and I was door knocking at the time. And they said, "Do you want to join the police?" And I said, "Of course." So I did that for another 14 years. And in the last couple of years, I've come back to real estate. So the sort of game, if you like, hasn't changed.
Yep.
But certainly, it's been, the market here is no different than what it was in 2002, to be honest. So yeah, real estate basics is really what I've stuck to.
Good on you. Good on you.
But now with a local brand here in the Waikato, Hamilton, Lodge Real Estate. You know, it's a brand that's been around for a little while, and they sort of open up to lifestyle and rural and a few of the other areas which, you know, that fall outside the city area. So as the market tightens, you can certainly have opportunity to those other areas.
So it's a beautiful rural part of the world where you're working in, right?
Lovely and green, and you know, a lot of people that come over.
Okay,
really like
stop it! You're whetting my appetite. Hey, that's awesome! Awesome. It sounds like a really beautiful part of the world. So Ray, what's your average sale price where you sell?
Yeah, so we're sitting probably around that 560 odd.
Okay.
You know, for a lot of parts of the world, that might be quite low, but
so that's about $10 million Australian, isn't it?
yeah.
Just
right.
kidding, mate. Just
But, you
kidding.
know, hey,
It's Friday, you know. I just got to let myself out there.
Ray, what sort of properties do you sell?
We're still in the office. We're still in the office. The team's listening in.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
That's cool.
What's 500,000? What does that sort of buy you? Is that a family home? Is it do you have any like townhouses or apartments there?
Sorry, your line just cut out there. Was that you, Matt?
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying, what sort of property does 560,000 buy? Is that like a house, is it, or is it apartments, or? Yeah,
no, it's just a standalone house on a reasonable amount of dirt. So you know, it's a 600 square metre site, you know, with a standalone 3-bedroom townhouse.
Okay.
So and that sort of varies, you know, just in terms of quality.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay. Well, listen, we bumped into each other at Aric. You asked if I was Claudio, and I said yes. You said, "Do you have a show called The Mentors?" And I said yes. And, mate, the rest is now up to you because you're on the show here on episode number 14. Can you believe it, Matt? 14
Where's the
episodes.
time gone, Klaus?
Exactly. And we've got Ray.
Yeah, well, I've turned most of those episodes into MP3s and they play along in my car. So
oh, awesome.
I'm familiar with all those episodes. Yeah.
Excellent.
You poor thing listening to me and Claudio all the time.
Exactly. So, Ray, the whole purpose of the show is you ask the question, we try and answer it as best we can. We've got a great guest mentor here with Jet Xavier as well. Maybe a couple of heads here can put something together, but try and be nice to us. It's Friday afternoon. Give us your question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm in a position where we've expanded it into a team. We've got a buyer's agent. I've got another business partner who also runs a similar capacity. We've got a PA. So we're in the process of setting up our business unit. And if there's anything there that would add value to obviously limit the roads of trial and error, that would be helpful.
Well, that's a pretty... Matty, do you want to answer that? Probably the first thing I'd say, how many transactions you're doing first, and then let's look at your overall business model of what it looks like. So how many transactions do you do in 12 months, or what's your projection over the next 12 months to do with this team that you currently have?
So I guess, from starting back in the brand, it's getting some traction again, but I mean, the future and database business is there. But our prediction is around 6 to 10 units per month.
Okay. All right, Matt. So let's
obviously.
Yep.
So that's about 60, 70 deals a year. Yeah.
And obviously on that basis, we've really got around the administration side of things, and the CRM, which is quite key in that long-term business, no matter what the market does.
Okay, and what sort of GCI would you be aiming with those, say, 6 to 10 deals a month?
Yeah, so I guess it's just we're working through where that demographic might be to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. We've had a strong run with the new home market.
Okay.
So when we say the average sales, 560, the average in the new home is around that 850 mark. So it's certainly a different price point when you start looking at the average sale.
Perfect. All right. So, Matty, high performance teams. Ray was at ARIC. I've been at ARIC for the last couple of days. One thing that I did notice was the theme has been a lot around teams and making your team scalable. Yes. And the guys that are going to be dominating over the next 5 years will have a team. So, I suppose from Ray's point of view, I think his question is, what would his team look like? Is it feasible to build a team at his level at 6 to 10 transactions per month? What would that look like?
Sure. So, Ray, can you just walk us through what the current team looks like? So there's yourself, obviously, listing and selling.
Correct. There's 2 core agents that are listing and selling.
Yep.
We've got one buyer's agent. We're basically from the flow off from our opens or the inquiry, they get those clients, and then they work those transactions.
Right.
And then in the background, we've got admin support, PA, if you like, that takes care of basically the campaigns and just the general organisation. So, one thing that I got from Eric was, prospecting, listing, selling, and trying to keep a deal together is really our core focus.
Sure.
As opposed to putting up a sign or whatever it may be.
So I think the way I'm seeing the market sort of for real estate unfold in the last couple of years is gone away because of the technology, gone away of like everyone sort of having to get involved in admin and only doing their tasks in terms of buyers agents. I think everyone should be listing and selling on the team effectively. I don't think there's even your admin person out in the field, if that's, I don't know what their current role is, if they're desk bound, but I think with all the technology now, everything's sort of cloud based, and I'm not sure how you're running there, but there are easy systems that are cheap to get yourself not tied to the office anymore and get out and about. So I think the more people in your team you can have out front facing potential sellers, and you're selling, you're obviously working with buyers as well. So the need for a separate buyer's agent, maybe their role should be also listing as well, not just working with buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. And
absolutely.
Admin person getting involved at the coalface necessarily. And I would change titles. I don't like using the word buyer's agent because buyer's agent, when someone says it refers to me like an external buyer's agent outside the business. Because technically a buyer's agent really, if they're working in a team where there's sellers, can't really work in the best interest of the vendor, correct?
Correct.
So if you change your whole team to just colleagues, like if your buyer's agent, if it's not necessarily a fully fledged agent, they can become an associate agent, and they can work with buyers. That's fine, but that takes if they're a buyer's agent, they're going to be viewed upon differently in the marketplace with your vendors than if they are one of your associates. Because a buyer's agent, to me, if I mention that to a vendor, thinks like I'd immediately think they're working for the buyer.
Yep. Exactly,
even though it's not, but that's perception.
That's the
right?
perception, right?
Because if you talk about a buyer's agent in the
Yep.
market, that's what they actually do, correct? Then with somebody who's in admin, I would call that person either team leader or you know, head of. I'd give them more of a head of marketing or something like that for your team. So their credibility. But what do you call them now when you introduce them?
Well, it's funny. I mean, prompting today, we were sort of coming back from America and looking at business unit restructure. That, you know, actually, at the end of the day, they are managing a campaign. So, campaign manager or campaign coordinator.
Well, that's it. Perfect.
That's a great name.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
I like to refer to when we have a person doing that role as team leader.
Yeah.
That's a really good,
Sure.
because that lifts credibility even further. That gives that person. Does that person organise open times and all that type of thing?
Yeah. So whether there's no dollars behind it, it's administrative. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So that person do opens as well?
No.
Okay.
No, they're not licensed here in New Zealand. If you're licensed and you're interacting with people, then you're not licensed. So, non-licensed.
My personal view is I'd be skilling everybody up to be involved in potentially selling. Whether it's admin, and that may not be what they want to do, but that might be conversation you do have. You may find out that is actually what they do want to do too.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's enough roles for someone in admin just to do admin in the way, like people don't answer phones so much anymore. Everyone's got a mobile. There's no necessarily typing letters. Most of the stuff's standardised. There's no necessarily going back and filing stuff in a file. It's, you know, it's to the cloud.
We're
technology.
running paperless now.
Paperless,
we're running paperless
well, that's
now.
you.
Running a comment last week before we went away. Someone said, "Well, I like to hold paper." Isn't that interesting?
So imagine, Ray, if you could go out to your vendors' pipeline, says, "So look, I've got 4 people in my team. Everyone's here to get the best result."
Yes.
You know, this. You know, my team leader is coordinating open homes. They could be there at the open with me because they're very well aware of the property because they're doing the photos. My sales associate who works with buyers as well will be maximising the buyers that come to the property, and that sales associate then doesn't have to term themselves as a buyer's agent. So when they introduce themselves, they're now a sales agent.
Yeah, great. That's
Makes sense.
makes a lot of sense.
And all of a sudden, your output's just doubled.
Yeah.
See what we've done technically?
Yeah, I mean, in the current capacity, with what you're saying, reflecting on that, you know, the admin person will stop in their tracks because they believe that's as far as they can go. But
Yeah. The other
over dinner, they've met that person and they could, list the property.
The other thing is you're causing a rod for your back because what you're doing is you're actually saying to your vendors that person only deals with admin and the other person only deals with buyers. If everyone was working on every sale together, you could then scale up. You could open 12 on Saturday instead of 6 because you don't need to be there.
That's a good point. That's a really good point because you're still going to hit capacity, but then if you've got someone who's actually working...
Because if you say,
just call it, admin, but they're actually skilled up to actually go out into the trenches as well, they're actually, you could, double X your workload on a Saturday.
Your vendor's going to say, I don't really want the buyer's agent there, Ray. I want you there, and I don't really want your admin person there. I want you. Do you know what I'm saying?
I want you there, Ray.
Well, that's right. But and what to further support that angle, at the moment we've got properties that we're actually handing out to other sales consultants unrelated to our business for open homes. So
see, you're costing yourself money with the structure, and you think you're not actually costing yourself money.
Exactly. Ray, let's go to our guest mentor here, Jet Xavier. Jet, what are your thoughts? You work with some really high-performing agents in the marketplace already, Kate Strickland being one of them.
Yep.
Advice to Ray,
So I guess from my perspective, it's all about the energy of the team. It's maintaining that. I mean, the stuff your guys are talking about is not my thing, but I think this is just as important. It's about understanding the energy of the team and keeping that up. The other important thing is right person for the right fit. That's crucial as well. Because if you get those two things right, you're going to have a team that's consistently motivated, and you're going to have people that are doing what they're good at and what they love to do and they're passionate at. So your productivity levels are going to go up, your engagement levels are going to go up.
Absolutely.
And it's far better. The problems I see in teams is that when they don't have the right energy levels or maintain them, and they have the wrong people in the wrong job, and they tolerate that for longer periods of time because they're too afraid to start again. I had one client the other day, didn't want to get an assistant because, I'm going to have to train them again. You know, well, do you want to train them again, or do you want to get a new assistant and do it right, and waste money? Which one do you want? I think
every 3 months.
Yeah, every 3 months. So they're two really key things that I drive home. Energy levels are imperative, and the right person for the right job, definitely.
It's outstanding advice. Because what Jet's just said, it's okay everyone turning up, but if you're turning up with a black cloud over your head, you're not turning up skipping to work. It's a huge point you just raised, Jet.
It's a massive one. I just put a post out yesterday. Please be responsible for the energy that you bring into this room.
Fines apply.
I love
energy
that.
Police. There you
Energy
go.
police.
You've got chief energy officer. Now you're going to energy police. Energy police. Sorry, Claudio, you're fined for that jacket, mate.
It's a bit of red in there somewhere.
Jet, just staying on that thread for 30 seconds. What would be some tips to have energy, or to create energy, or to maintain it? Or
well, it starts with the leader, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The leader has to set the standard, and people will follow that standard, and then the office has to reflect that standard as well. It starts there. So many offices have one or two healthy people trying to drive the energy of the business, but they're not the leader, and people aren't respecting them or going to follow them. So I think the key thing is the leader has to, not be an Olympian, but they have to make sure that they're looking after the health. They have the right attitudes. They have the right emotional management. They're not reactive. They're not flying off the handle. They have a stability about them. It's like the Navy SEALs say. They say calm is contagious. If you're losing your shit all the time and you're unstable and you're double guessing yourself or double guessing your team, well, that's sending a message out to the team. So I think that what's paramount from a foundational point of view is the leader has to set the standard. And it doesn't have to be perfection, but they have to set that standard, and then the culture follows that standard, and I think that's
and
beautiful,
and actually set the pace as well, right?
Yeah, well, it does set the pace, and I mean, it's not like I said, it's not about being perfect, but what's happening in real estate, and you guys would see this a lot, is that the next professional coming through, whether it's inner city or regional, it doesn't matter. The next professional coming through have a little bit more ability in managing their emotions. They're a little bit more switched on in the way they understand and read people and the energy levels and the vibe. They're committed to personal growth. They're committed to standards. All that type of stuff's sweeping through the industry. In the old days, it was like, just turn up, do what you want, get the shits, yell at a few people, get back on the tools.
The old dogs.
The old dogs. But now it's a little bit different.
Totally.
Just adding to the conversation, that leadership is paramount,
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Really good.
Yeah, and what I'd say to you, Ray, like as you start to build this team around you, and Jet's given some really quality input here today, one of the things also, 100% responsibility. You know what I mean? And with a lot of that meaning that if they're not making the calls, great. I always say there's three types of leaders, Matt, and Jet. There's a good leader, there's a great leader, but there's high-performance leaders. And in this market today, you really need high-performance leaders. They're the ones who are actually going to be moving the needle in the marketplace. Not the good leaders, but the high-performing leaders. And when I say 100% responsibility, meaning that I have, agents who are leading a team and say, good old, Ricky's not making the calls. Well, actually, Ricky's not making the calls because you're not making the calls. You know what I mean? So perhaps maybe you sit with Ricky together and start making the calls together.
Well, Ricky hasn't got a good attitude because you don't have a good attitude.
That's it.
Or Ricky's not stable because you're not stable. Or Ricky's not motivated because you're not motivated.
Ray,
100% responsibility.
One of the other things, it's Matt again, one of the things I want to mention to you, in a lot of the super teams I manage, I ensure that they've got a roadmap for success for the week. Do you meet your team every week?
So it's 3 times a week. It's not every morning, just logistic-wise. But
is there an agenda?
Yes, there is. Yep.
Okay. So I would look at that probably different. I think 3 times a week's too much, but that's just my view. With the super teams that I've managed over the years, they meet first thing Monday morning and first thing Friday morning, and they've got a real set agenda. Would you want to share what's on that agenda you've got?
Yes, what we do is we have a cloud-based system. So when you're in the car at the traffic lights and you chuck something in because it comes to mind, all that populates and the team can see it. So it's not like you turn up and having to create something from scratch. So everyone's aware of what the agenda is and people can make notes within that.
Is it a revolving agenda or is it a set agenda?
No, so we get task allocation from it. So we're very conscious of those key things. Where does it need to sit in terms of its delegation? And, it's always around that service part first, around the client and the vendor. But some of them can be just as minuscule around, signage, but it's still part of the agenda.
Okay. Well, look, this is what I would say to you, Ray, is all the guys who are writing 7 figures or the high performers in the marketplace comes down to having systems, having processes within the team,
Set
right?
agenda.
And really just loving the process around it as well. I mean, they're the 3 key things. You've got systems, you've got processes, very simple, because you can just duplicate, put it into your business. But also, everybody in the business loves the process, whatever that's going to look like. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would actually say to you as well. And you know what? You're going to find it. Some's going to work out. You have to change some processes, change some systems, because this is all going to be new to you and your team, right? So it's just sort of finding your way. What's going to be your strengths? What are you going to deploy as your weaknesses? But like Matt was saying before, it's almost like trying to make everyone on an equal level playing field. Because when we say admin, when I think of admin in my head, I think it's someone below me. Do you know what I mean? And I think once you start talking to people like everyone as equals, you have a different respect for everybody, and they feel like they get a different respect.
And the responsibility goes up accordingly.
Because I think,
they feel a part of it.
Yeah, the accountability
and engagement levels go up as well because they feel like they're bigger than an isolated part of the process.
So the girl at the front desk should feel as equal as the person who's running $1 million in GCI in the office.
Ray, so just going up, keeping it high level, I sort of was a bit unsure of your agenda. It did sound a bit grey to me, what you were saying, but I'm going to throw something at you, or if you can quickly take notes, but here's what I'd be doing. I'd have an agenda that went like this. I get all that understanding, like dropping things in a cloud-based environment, and sort of that's a bit like, sort of you could have an agenda items at the back of the meeting, which would cover that stuff, because that's like sort of a bit, shotgun approach. I'd be going through the current listings on the market, any price reductions that are needed. What's your current marketing campaigns on each property? I'd be going through pipeline sellers coming up. I'd be going through past clients, a VIP client a strategy. I'd be going through all of that in what's obviously currently listed, offers and acceptances that are out there. Pipeline sellers, and that's the crux of what I'd be going through every week.
Some really good points in that agenda to follow through.
Absolutely.
Ray, have we answered your question here today on the mentors?
Oh, and a little bit more. It's been good.
Ooh. Can we all give Ray a hand from New Zealand?
Go, Ray.
Yes.
Our first New Zealand on the Mentors agent, mate. Thank you so much. It's been a real honour to speak with you this afternoon, Ray, and we wish you all the best. One of the things that we're starting to do here on the Mentors is we are going to check back in maybe in a couple of months' time, if that's okay with you, to see how your team is running and how effectively and efficient it's going, and what are you learning from developing your own team. Because to us, what's important as a group in the Mentors is to see your success. So is that okay if we check with you in the next 2 to 3 months?
Oh, hey, much appreciated. And Claudio, as you probably feel, I'll probably call you before you call me.
Well, mate, that's what we're here for. And also,
thanks, Jet and Matt, for your advice. It's been great.
Thanks, Ray. All the best.
Thank you to Jet for joining us here as guest mentor today. Ray, hope it's nice and warm where you are, because it's freezing here in Sydney at the moment.
All good. So we'll get on with our work. Very much. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, Ray. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Talk soon. See you.
There you go, gentlemen.
Good, yeah. Good
Thank you,
stuff, Jet.
Perfect. Good stuff as a guest mentor. Excellent.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt LaHood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.